Even now, I'm still finding recordings from the World Storytelling Cafe of children who told stories a long time ago. In fact, the second ever edition of the Young International Storytellers, the 17th of November 2020, this is the second week, this young woman called Hala told a story, and I'd forgotten. And I found this recording, and I've just been learning it. And she told it together with her teacher, a very good friend of mine called Hend. I don't know Hala's circumstances. I know that Hend, young teacher of English, is now with her twin sister in Germany. So she's safe. She got out quite early. But they told the story together with Hend playing the oud, the Arabic lute or guitar, very beautifully. It's the story, you may have heard before, of the Stork Caliph. Story?
Tell us a story.
Kanya Makan for Kadim Zaman, there was once a caliph, and he was wealthy beyond your dreams. He sat on his throne in the city of Tashkent, the richest city in the world. He had so much. He enjoyed his wealth. He thought little about his citizens. He thought about how rich he was and how he could enjoy his life. Everything was good. He wanted for nothing. And sometimes he felt that there was nothing to strive for. He called his vizier, wise Mansur. He was much older than the Caliph. Mansur was married, he had a long grey beard, and he was a very serious, pedantic sort of fellow. Mansur, said the Caliph, I need some fun, I need something to brighten up my day. Ah, said Mansur, I will see what I can do. And he put out a proclamation, and the next day into the palace walked Ga2a, the wizard. But they did not know he was a wizard. Ga2a was proud and tall and dark, and he stood before the Caliph. I have a gift for you, great Caliph. A gift? What is it? This book. Well, he passed the book to the Caliph. The Caliph couldn't make out a word. It was written in a strange language, unfamiliar characters. What does it say? Said the Caliph. It is a book of spells. The magician Ga2a said, there is one spell here that could give you some diversion. If you utter a magic word, then you can transform into any creature you can imagine. All you have to do is sniff the snuff from this box. And he opened a box made of ebony, and there was black dust. And utter the word, and you say it after me. Mutambur!
Mutambur!
Every time, after me. Oh, said the Caliph, how wonderful. I can be turned into any creature you see before you. Say the word and you will be transformed. And in order to turn back to your human form, say it again. Mutambur!
Mutambur!
Very well, said the Caliph. And now the vizier, Mansur, leaned across and took the book. And what did these words say? Well, the wizard said, if, when you are transformed into that creature, you should laugh, then you will forget the word and you will remain in the form of that creature forever. But don't worry about that. And Ga2a said, this is your gift, and he left the palace. Well, the Caliph looked at his serious, very formal vizier and said, well, you never laugh, and I will make sure I don't. We will have fun with this. And that evening, when the sun was going down and the air was cooler, the Caliph and his vizier left the palace. The vizier said goodbye to his wife, and they walked out to the lake beyond the city. And there they saw, well, I told you already what it was. A long-legged, long-beaked, white-winged stork. Such an elegant bird. And the bird was fishing. And the stork caught a frog and swallowed it. And they saw the frog going down that narrow neck. Then they saw another stork circling high in the sky above and descending and landing at the edge of the lake beside the first. And now the storks began clacking their beaks loudly, and they threw their necks back. And they began the most wonderful dance, greeting each other and playing. Such fun they were having, strutting back and forth and bouncing and shuffling and ruffling their feathers and once again throwing their heads back and clacking their beaks. Wouldn't it be wonderful, said the Caliph, if we could understand their language? Didn't that wizard say that should we transform ourselves into a creature, we would understand the language of those animals, of all animals? That's right, said the vizier. But remember, whatever you do, do not laugh. And together they opened the ebony box, they sniffed the black snuff, and they cried, Mutambur! And as they stood there, their legs became narrower until they were like long red sticks. Their noses became extended beaks, and their arms were feathered wings. And suddenly, the clacking of those beaks of the other two storks made sense. Greetings, greetings, my friend. Oh, dear friend indeed. Are you hungry? I have already eaten a frog. Will you fish for a frog? Oh, not me. I am intent on our dance. And they continued their dance, clacking and throwing their heads back, and bouncing and ruffling and prancing. The Caliph and the vizier were amazed. In the presence of these two storks, they could understand their language. How wonderful it would be to dance like these storks. And the vizier and the Caliph in their stork forms turned and faced each other and threw their necks back and clapped their beaks and pranced and skipped and shuffled. And then they tried to turn in a spin, a bit like a prize-winning jig. And at that moment, they lost their balance because they weren't experienced stork dancers yet, and splash! Into the lake they fell. And as they lay there, the Caliph felt a trembling feeling in his belly, just like we all do when we have a little accident, and began to laugh, a clacking, storkish laugh. And the vizier, who had never laughed in his life, couldn't resist and joined in. How they laughed together, roaring stork laughter. The other two storks gazed at them in astonishment. The Caliph and the vizier stood. What have we done? We laughed. What was the word, vizier? Caliph, you're younger than me, surely you can remember. No, you can't remember either, can you? No, we can't remember. What shall we do? Let us go into the palace. Well, they walked into the palace, but they got strange looks and realised that no one knew who they were. They flew for the first time up onto the walls, and it was rather wonderful. If only they felt that they wouldn't be storks for the rest of their lives, they would have been happy. They watched from above. Oh, the people were saying, "Where is the Caliph? Search for the Caliph. The vizier is missing too. His wife is missing him. Oh, search far and wide." And however much they clapped their beaks, no one could understand what they were saying. One day, as they flew over the palace, they heard voices. "Have you heard? The new ruler of the city, the new ruler of Tashkent, will be Karshanol. Karshanol will rule over us all. All hail Karshanol." Well, the people didn't seem so sure, but Karshanol's followers were there in great number, and drums were banged and people gathered. "Oh, I have lost my throne," said the Caliph Stork. And he and the vizier opened their wings and flew away, far, far away from Tashkent, wondering what would become of them. And you can find out in part 2. Would you like to hear what happened to the Stork Caliph and his vizier Mansur? You may have heard the story before, but I wonder if you've heard the ending told like this. Story, story.
Tell us the story.
They were flying away. They did not know what else to do. Tashkent held nothing for them, it seemed. On and on and on they flew into the dry, hot mountains. And there they saw below a deserted seeming castle. A stone castle, so severe. They circled down, and as they came lower, they heard a crying, a lament. Oh, it was so sad. Was it a woman's voice? They looked and landed, and there was an owl. Grey and brown, amber eyes, so sad, weeping. Well, as storks, they could understand the language of owls. "Why are you crying?" "Oh, I am not truly an owl. A spell was cast upon me by the wizard Karshanol. He pressed me into marriage with him, but I refused. I would not be wed to such a liar. And for that, my punishment was to be transformed into an owl, and for the rest of my days I must remain so. Unless what?" said the Caliph and the vizier. "Unless a human will take me as their wife." "Marry an owl," said the Caliph. "I wouldn't be an owl anymore. I would be transformed back into a princess." Well, the Caliph wasn't sure about marrying an owl. "What about you, Mansur? Will you marry him?" "I'm married already," said Mansur. "You, my master, you must do the honourable thing." "I will. Because Karshanol has also treated us badly. He tricked us, and we have been turned into storks, and we must know the word that we must utter in order to be transformed back into our true selves. I am the Caliph of Tashkent, and this is my vizier." "Oh," the owl said, "this is the castle of Karshanol, and he is making his way here tonight to celebrate with his cruel followers his success, the taking over of your city. Tonight there will be a feast and drinking all through the night. Perhaps when he is drunk, he will reveal the word that you must know. Hide, quickly, they are coming." And the two storks hid behind a curtain. And sure enough, voices louder and louder, and into the castle came Karshanol, proud and strong. "I am the king of Tashkent. I rule." And the people cheered, because they would do well out of following this tyrant. And they came into the castle and they began to eat and drink and tell stories, bragging, swearing. All night long the feasting went, until near dawn His followers, tell us the word that the Caliph must speak in his stork form to be transformed back. We heard he was turned into a stork. Is it true? It is true, said Karshanal. I'll tell you the word. The word, can we remember? The word is Mutambur! And there was a great cry and clacking of beaks from behind the curtain. What's this? Karshanal pulled back the curtain with two storks who started running with their stick-like legs out of the castle. Oh, Karshanal grabbed his bow and arrow and chased after them. But as they came out of the castle, the sun rose in the east. And Karshanal was blinded by the rising sun. Let fly the arrow, but it missed. And the two storks cried, Mutambur, and bowed to the east and were transformed back into their true human shapes. They fell upon the wizard. His followers had abandoned him. And then a gentle laughing beside them, and they turned, and there was a lovely young woman. Who are you? Don't you know? I am the princess, and now you are in your human form, so am I. Because you have promised to marry me, I will. And they made their way back to Tashkent, and the people were glad to welcome them. Karshanal was cast into the deepest dungeon, of course. And there the wedding was held, and people came from far and wide. I wasn't the only storyteller at that wedding, there were others too, but I tell that story in my own way. But I learned this story truly from a much greater storyteller. I learned this story from Hala in Gaza, who told it with her teacher, my dear friend Hend. A story that they passed to me and many others, so I could tell it to you tonight, along with the other stories that Min and I have regaled you with. So thank you for being here this evening. In honour of the young people of Gaza, beautiful souls. The project Tell a Child in Gaza's Tale to counter the narrative, to let the world know that young people in Gaza are beautiful, generous, free-thinking, highly educated, wonderful young people. The most generous people that I've ever had the honour to meet. When the project started on the 1st of January 2024, I imagined it would go on for a few weeks, perhaps a couple of months. I had no idea that I would still be posting a story every morning. It's hard, much harder for them. But what does give me heart, and it does give a little bit of solace to those friends who feel abandoned, but it still gives them a little bit of solace to know that people around the world are listening. So if you want to be part of it, if you're feeling helpless and you're not sure how you can help, and maybe you're doing some actions, which is great, every kind of action we can do to support our friends in Palestine is worth doing. But if you want another action that you can do, a very gentle, very human, a very folk festival type action, would be to learn a story and retell it.